Uh, sorry, I got delayed today a little bit because
Not
I
a
got
problem.
stuck in a small work. That's the reason why I requested for a little postponement. So today we are going to talk about this understanding the context and understanding what to do with respect to the marketing research. Thereby, I think if we know those things correctly, we should be able to figure out what to do. So collecting information and forecasting the demand part of it is what we have given, isn't it? I think I have also given you the video notes for it. So I hope you have watched that video. Hmm? If
Right, sir.
not, please do watch it. And what we will do today is we are going to talk about that story or those elements that are given in the collecting information and forecasting demand, through this particular thing. That is this particular case, which is, given on Apple. Okay. So I hope you have at least read that Apple case. It's a small one. Did you read it?
Yes. Yes, sir. Yes.
Only two, three people are saying yes. What about others? But I hope at least some of you are users of Apple, at least, isn't it?
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
sir. Yes,
So
sir.
you know that this has been there for the last 15 years or 17 years. And at least as of now, there are 15 versions that have been launched by this organization. And it is going successfully. I think though people are saying that it got stagnated and all that, I think still it is able to sell more phones in the world, on daily basis. So there seems to be still some magic that is there, even though the competitors are quickly following it. Okay. So I think that's one important element that we need to understand about this, what you call Apple, where it is able to create such a product, and it is able to what you call take care of what to do so that it can attract the consumer. I think that way it has got very good tabs on the market. And that, please, because we are saying that it is collecting information and forecasting and demand estimation and all, we are telling you certain processes which you can follow so as to estimate those things. But at the same time, as a manager, I think you should also have the vision, or you should also have that mentality to figure out, are there any new pain points that are emerging? Okay. If you are constantly looking out for processes in which you are working, and you are constantly asking yourself, is there anything that can be done to improve this process so that I can finish it faster, so that I can do it much more effectively to the satisfaction of the B2B clients or B2C clients that I'm interacting, to the satisfaction of my sales team, where they will feel motivated and they would love to work under my guidance rather than leaving my team and joining another organization. Okay, so please keep this in mind. And one more important thing, I suggest all my students to follow is that you are a marketing executive. You have helped people to make choices, which means you are very clear as to how to choose products and services. Okay. So if you are making choices or helping people to make choices, then I think making your own choices shouldn't be a problem, which means whenever you are going to shopping next time, please have less emphasis on yourself, because it is that pinstripe shirt that you are interested in purchasing. You will buy that only. So please pay attention to what others are doing in the process. Kind of listen into the conversations that other customer is having with the salesperson, and how the salesperson is convincing the consumer to purchase that shirt or purchase that suitcase or purchase a particular food item, whatever it is. Okay. So please listen in, because there are so many people constantly placing orders around you. And while you are eating that food, somebody is saying, oh, this is not great. I think I had food in that other plaza that was really, really nice. Now, please don't say that, sir. Are we snooping in? No, I'm not asking you to snoop in or become a detective or anything. Just keep your eyes and ears open. That's it. That's what I do. Okay, when I am going into a shop, I know what I want for my daughter. I know what I want for my wife and myself. So I'm least interested in what I am doing. I just go and pick up something. But I'm very much interested if there is someone who is having a conversation with the salesperson, and the salesperson is putting a lot of effort in convincing and showcasing all the best products that they have. My ears are there listening into that conversation. Why? Because that's how we understand what is it that people are looking for. And it's a genuine conversation that they are having. And at the end of the day, either they don't like it, which is the reason why they walk away from the store, or because the salesperson was able to strike a conversation, was able to convince the customer of the value the product is offering, they finally buy the product. Okay, so I get to listen to some of the convincing arguments the salesperson is giving, some of the pain points that are being expressed by the customers. You see, so as marketing manager, I think please make this a habit to tune in, listen in, observe everyone around when you are traveling and you are sitting in that lounge. Please listen in to the conversations of everyone. Okay, so that is the first habit all of us have to develop. Now, let us look into what is it that how is it that we understand things? Okay, you are interested in launching a new product, let us say, or you have been given a new area and you are to, make it a success in terms of increasing the sales of your product. So the first thing that you are interested in understanding is, what is the potential market? So in here, consumers have interest in that product that you are trying to sell, but they may have some constraints of income and they may have some market access issues. Like say, yes, like say the consumers of your smallest item, like say water purifiers. Okay, every consumer currently is interested in what you call having purified water for themselves, and they are interested in protecting their children from diarrhea. So it is a great opportunity for Pureit, for Eureka folks, and many other organizations which are selling water purification solutions. But the issue is that the customer, is not that well off in the sense of spending some 20,000 rupees, some 10,000 rupees to purchase the product, and to replace the cartridges of the product every year you have to spend around 3,000 rupees. Okay, so because of that, they're constrained with the income, which is the reason why they're asking you, sir, can you please provide us a low cost alternative? That is where your Tata Swatch comes in. Also, that Pureit brand by this water purifier, the lowest version of it, is also coming to people's rescue. Okay, so then they will say, sir, it is all fine. Your Tata Swatch is available for 1,000 rupees and we are able to process at least 3,000 liters of water. But how do we actually purchase this product? Because we are stuck in the rural areas. So how do we purchase it? So you will have to come up with ideas as to how do you enhance your organization's distribution to ensure that these people are receiving those purifiers. Okay. But there, it doesn't end, your job doesn't end there, because you are to also provide cartridges for replacement after every 3,000 liters that is being processed by the Tata Swatch water purifiers. So you will have to figure out again the constraints of money that the people might have, again the constraints of women or men coming to the nearby towns and purchasing those cartridges. Okay, so in that sense, when you are talking about consumers having interest in certain products, you will have to understand these two elements of constraints in income and market access issues that these people have. Thereby, the product that you are interested in selling to these fellows, you will suggest some adjustments and you will launch newer SKUs, and you will also increase the distribution channel. Thereby, you will be able to reach out to them. That's the first thing. Then, product is relevant to them, so they are unaware of the availability of due to poor marketing. Like say, let us take the first example of this one. That is the carbon phone, which is low cost smartphone. Few years ago. So when everybody was so this thing that a smartphone is very expensive and poor or lower income individuals or middle income individuals can't afford it, there were institutions like Micromax, Carbon, and so many small companies, who have ventured into low cost production and thereby made it possible for a lot more people to purchase those products. And that is where they understood that even though this person is a carpenter, he does require a smartphone because he will be then able to have a video conversation with his client and figure out what to do even before reporting to duty. He will also be able to make
Sir,
use of this
I have
smartphone.
one question, sir.
Just
Sorry to
let
interrupt.
me finish this
Okay,
and
sure.
then you can ask me the question. So then second thing that you are able to figure out is that this instrument that this person is using is not for entertainment, but this instrument is able to help him earn better income. Okay. So what do? We are producing an affordable phone, but we don't have people who are purchasing these phones, which is why you will have to figure out ways and means to reach out to these people and then tell them as to what all benefits are possible using this particular smartphone, which is very, very cheap to them, and then give them the opportunity to purchase that particular product. Okay, so that is how you are interested in exploring the potential market. Now, yeah, please go ahead with your question.
Thank you, Professor. Sir, when we are, planning for these activities, so we have to consider that, we are full with the resources to produce that much number of units.
Yes.
So, okay.
So, in the sense, very good question that you have asked, because many people simply have ideas with them and, they would like to go ahead with it and, they would like to, kind of full throttle launch the product. But they don't estimate the number of units that will be sold in the particular market. They don't then figure out what are the production possibilities or third party outsourcing possibilities that they can make use of, and how much money is to be spent on this. So what amount of investment capital do I require to adjust that assembly line, and
Correct,
what
sir.
amount of working capital do I require to produce those many units on monthly basis.
Correct, sir.
So in that
Thank you, sir.
sense, you have to make not just understand the potential market, but at the same time assess the resources that are available to you at your organization's level. That is the first thing. Then the second thing that you also need to worry about is the capabilities part of it. That is, yes, you know that there is a potential market that is existing. You know that there is money lying around and you can invest in the production part of it. But what you lack is the marketing skills or the sales team to actually go and convince all these lower income consumers to purchase your low cost mobile phone, let us say.
Correct.
So I think apart from estimating the resources, I think we also need to make an assessment of the capabilities that we have. Like say, you may ask me, Professor, you are teaching, PGP for last 11 years and you've been teaching online sessions for the last 2 years. Why don't you go and teach in an undergrad program? Like say in the IPM, we have an undergrad program, integrated program in management. I say, no, sir, thank you so much. You will ask me, sir, it is only a class, no? Why don't you just take this PPT and go there and stand before those 19-year-olds? That is the problem. Okay. The 19-year-old is the problem because I have been trained to interact with anyone above 21, till the 100-year-old person, whoever is interested in learning. But
Correct.
I am not trained to handle a teenager turned an adult. You see?
Correct.
So my capability, I have resources. I can learn to teach a new method of learning, teaching I can learn. And, the organization can help me to gain some, whatever computer, laptop, whatever the equipment you want me to, they will give me. But the capability part I am lacking because I have been trained by my professor only to teach people who are 21 and beyond, and the arguments or the things that I can do with them, the way I can interact with them. I've never learned how to interact with an 18-year-old person, which is the reason why in the last 11 years, in spite of so many requests, some of us abstained from offering any courses in integrated program in management. Why? Because it is not that we cannot teach the content. We have not been trained and we are not mentally equipped to handle the youngster. But once they are completing their undergraduation and coming in the fourth year as a 21-year-old person, I am ready to talk to him. You see?
The
So
maturity to understand the answer and
Yes.
the conversation to have. Correct, sir.
Yes, because my colleagues who are specialists in handling these people and teaching them wonderfully do the best job of offering courses and training them and equipping them with that knowledge and that argumentation capability, on which we piggy ride and say, that's the reason why I always thank my colleagues in the IPM, because they are training these people to become, those mature adults who are able to argue with you, then who are able to understand. So I think it is not just that there is a market available, let's go and capture it. No. Are you having the resources and capabilities to capture the market? If you haven't made proper estimations of it, probably you will go wrong. So that is one important thing all executives have to keep in mind. So now let's come to understand this available market. Okay, there is potential market, there is so much potential that is existing, fine. But then what is the available market that consumers having interest, income and market access to a particular product? That is, there are 10,000 consumers who can be the potential customers. Okay. But the issue is, out of these 10,000 people, there are 3,000 people who are available in urban slums and who have these kind of jobs that they work on, for which definitely a smartphone will be very, very useful, which is where they are interested in purchasing the product, and we can also educate them very quickly because they are just next to, or they are very much accessible to our corporate headquarters, you see. Then they're also, because of the presence in the city, they're getting a lot of jobs every day, and because of that they're able to generate some bit of income, because of which they'll be in a position to purchase your some 4,000 to 6,000 kind of a smartphone. Further, they are very close to the city, because of which, or they're in the middle of the city, because of which it is possible for us to reach out to them, and it is even possible for them to come to some retail outlets and make an inquiry about the smartphone and its uses and the overall cost that he has to incur in a lifetime, and then purchase the product. So you may say that, sir, there are so many carpenters and so many karmacharis that are available. There are 10,000. But then you will also have to tell me that how many you can reach out, like that resources and capabilities argument, if you put in again and say, sir, we can reach out to 3,000 people because these are all close by to us and we can experiment and learn from these people and then figure out how to cover those 7,000. Then we will ask the third question. Okay, now that you know that you have 3,000 people whom you can, sell the product, you how many consumers you think you will be able to capture? Then we will ask you, what percentage do you expect to capture in the first year or in the lifetime? So then you will say, sir, I think we will be able to capture, some to begin with in the first year 10% and quickly running up to 20, then quickly running up to 40. In the first 3 years, we are confident that 40% of this 3,000 we should be able to, cover. Okay. So, which means that, why are you saying only 40% when I ask you? You say, sir, not just us, there are 3, 4 other manufacturers who are launching their products for this kind of customers, and they are also interested in reaching out to these 3,000 people. So, because we are able to sell the product at 4,000, we are very much affordable, and our features are very good, and we'll be able to convince them to purchase our product. I'm pretty sure in the first 3 years itself, we'll be able to capture 40%. So these are all the type of individuals I would like to target. That is that 40% of that 3,000 I would like to target and get them to buy my phones. That is what you are saying. So first of all, you said there are 10,000 fellows. Then you said there are available some 3,000 fellows who are available close to you. Then out of that 40% you are able to capture, and thereby you are able to reach out to these people and convince them. Now, what is the hope here? The hope here is that 40% people whom you were able to convince will use the product and tell their cousins in the other areas of the city and also in the rural areas, thereby bringing those consumers to your stores and telling, in a kind of using word of mouth, you should be able to then reach out to more consumers that is in the potential market. So if this carpenter is saying because of the smartphone, his work has increased, he is able to get more money, his friend will also be motivated to do so. His friends in the rural areas will also be motivated to do so. And that is how you are kind of reaching out to the target market. And then let us look at the market demand. What is this market demand? Total volume bought by particular customer group. Let us say the teenagers, let us consider them as a particular group. Let us say Mintra, apparels you are interested in selling. So we are interested in looking at total volume bought by teenagers in a time period, that is the first quarter of a financial year, in a marketing environment, that is where Mintra is trying to advertise its products and it is saying that it is very trendy and fast changing and everything. And it is competing with Amazon, Flipkart, and so many other Agio and so many others. And it is able to present very attractive offers. So it is competing in that particular environment, and it is launching a particular sale. Let us say some Ram Navami sale or some Diwali sale or Ramzan sale or Christmas sale or something like that. It is a marketing program they are able to launch. So in those 3 months, what is it that they are able to sell to that particular group of people who are ranging from 18 to 24? Okay. So I think that is what we are calling as market demand. And every manager has to figure this out. And you have to constantly look for ways and means in which you can increase the demand for your product, because there are 3 to 4 products available. So can you please create preferences among consumers and thereby increase the market share for your specific product and thereby creating market demand for your company and your product. So market demand, it depends on external marketing conditions which are facing the firm. That is the economy is doing very well. Even after pandemic, I think we have been doing very well in this country. And people are getting jobs, so they are able to spend money for festivals. So for Mintra, between 18 to 24 age group, it is possible for them to sell more because the environment is really favorable to them. Then marketing investments made by the firm, that is, this organization understood that people are well paid even after pandemic. They are able to celebrate their festivals, and so this organization should able to plan out the calendar in a best possible manner, and thereby it should be able to reach out using celebrities, using social media influencers, and trying to convince more and more customers to purchase the products of this organization. You see, so these two things, that is what is happening with respect to external marketing environment, and how much resources is Mintra investing in terms of capturing the audience's attention and trying to convince them that Mintra is the best organization to buy apparels, is what will determine the market demand for your this thing. So then let us look at the formula for market demand calculation. It is the product of the number of buyers purchasing, the amount of units they purchase in a year, and the average retail price they pay for a unit. Okay. So number of buyers multiplied by annual quantity purchased by an average buyer multiplied by average price paid by the buyer will help you to figure out the market demand in terms of rupees. And say once you are estimating how much money are you going to make, based on that you can decide how much money are you willing to spend on production, on your marketing and sales force, on reaching out to the customers through distribution, or spending money on R&D in terms of innovating and bringing out new products to convince customers to remain loyal to your organization. Then the market forecast. So market demand corresponding to a certain level of marketing expenditure. That is, yes, there is so much potential that is available in the market. People have got a lot of money. That is, let's say take amusement parks as example. Okay, people have got a lot of money, and especially after pandemic, they are willing to, or they are looking forward to having some good time with family, not in the house but outside the house. Okay, and because of that they are willing to spend some money. So when you say, if you are an amusement park owner and you want to figure out, okay, what to do and how do I understand this market, what you are trying to do is, how many couples and singles are you able to convince to attend your amusement park and enjoy the facilities, and how correspondingly how much money are you spending, and thereby you are able to create awareness in so many consumers who will visit your organization for that particular financial year, or let us say for the first quarter of the financial year, thereby helping you to remain in profits. Okay, so you're constantly counting the money as to how much I have to spend on marketing my product, how much money I am going to generate out of this, and what is the level of premium I am going to charge from the consumer, which is going to help me survive in the market. Okay, Vaidya, please. And then we will get into understand
Yes,
from
I
Apple's
just
angle. Go
I just
ahead, Vaidya.
wanted to understand, how do we know that the market demand that we are forecasting is correct or not? By how do we come to an estimate of how many buyers are there in the market for my product?
Huh. So when you say, it is, you have to have a marketing research department within your organization. I'm not saying, it is not that department means there are 100 people working and all that. No, 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 we are not saying that. At least one person who is interested in figuring out what is to go on, somebody who has got the capability to crunch the secondary data, and also somebody who has got the ability to collect the primary data and kind of coming up with some understanding as to what to do and what not to do. So and supported by one or two other individuals. That is okay. So if you say you at least have 3 individuals in your organization who will look into the secondary data or who will collect the primary data, then I think your forecasts will be accurate. Now, then you will say, sir, where am I going to get the secondary data? Then you once you say you have recruited 3 people for understanding the market and forecasting demand and all, you should subscribe to organizations like AC Nielsen in terms of understanding the industry figures and getting the secondary data from the industry figures and all. Also there is this IBEF karke one organization. So in that IBEF organization also will help you to forecast the future for various sectors, and it is helping lot of managers in terms of getting the right information and processing that. Okay, so you can say, first of all, take the secondary data that is given by these people. Then you may do your own, what you call assessments. Then you may do your own calculations and figure out, okay, this may be a larger number, but based on my own ability, my own previous sales and all, I would like to figure out that this is the number of customers I can reach. This is the number of units I can sell, and this is the sales revenue I can generate. Okay, so you have past records. So look into the past records. How has been the sales record for your organization? You will look into that. And then you will take help from AC Nielsen, or you will take help from some other consulting agencies, or you do this exercise in-house. Further, you say, sir, AC Nielsen is very expensive. What should we do? Then there are indiastat.com kind of websites which are slightly reasonable in terms of the price that they at which they offer the data. And most importantly, please understand, all that information that you are getting from the AC Nielsen or anything, it is also freely available to you from various ministries of government. So please, first of all, to whichever ministry you belong to, your industry or your firm belongs to, please try to what you call completely distill the ministry's website and download all the necessary reports, because most of the times you find that all these smart consulting companies, they are looking into all those reports and they're nicely processing that data and presenting it in a very nice visual form, and then they are charging hefty money from you. Okay, so we had some such individuals at IRMA who used to say that my raw material comes for no investment, and when I say I'm making the final product, because I'm very good at forecasting things or predicting trends and all, I make a lot of money. Okay, so in that sense, please don't be disappointed. Oh my God, I don't have information. You have the census with you. So whichever state you are working for, whichever district you are working for, whichever village in that district you are working for, you have information about all the households. And every damn detail is collected by the Census Bureau. So, and then National Sample Survey Organization is also there. So first of all, look into the ministry's documents, then get into the census and get into the NSSO. All those reports are free for download for everyone, because it is a right to information and the government wants to maintain transparency. So in that sense, I think you will have to. Then again, after saying all of this, Vishakha, I want to tell you that Government of India a little while ago wanted real numbers, accurate numbers from the industry to be shared by the particular firms, so that they can be uploaded and transparency can be maintained. But then the lobby of the industry said that we are not willing to share our private information with you. Thank you so much. We will only give you estimates. Which means you will have to then, okay, look at the trends, and then you will have to figure out a way to add a discount factor, or way to figure out how to inflate the numbers. Okay. Now you might have seen some of your colleagues might be boasting a lot, Vishakha, in the office, isn't it? बंदा दिन भर बोलता रहता है मैं ये करता हूँ मैं वो करता हूँ and all that, but when you see his work at the end of the day, I think he's working more with the boss in the evening rather than he's working at the desk. Okay.
Yeah,
And then He's also telling, sir, Vishaka does not work, sir. Being a woman, I think she's more interested in, her family matters and all that, sir. तो बॉस पूछता है, विशाखा तुम आजकल काम नहीं कर रही हो, कुछ टेंशन में हो, ऐसा बोल रहा है, सुनने में आ रहा है. अरे, you are working from 9 to 5, whatever time that has been given to you, you are posting the reports and all, but
Mm.
boss is listening to something else. And being a woman, I think it is the first disadvantage for you, because the boss assumes, हाँ लड़की है तो ऐसा ही हो सकता है, isn't it? We can't help it. Even a woman boss also will assume the same thing. There's nothing, no difference in when boss is boss. There is no gender to the boss. You see? So then you know that this colleague of yours, when he tells you certain things, arey yaar, please add some 60% discount factor to what he says. Because ये बंदा बहुत फेंकता है. You see? No, he doesn't do any work, but he is trying to say that, sir, I have done this, sir, I have done that, And finally, boss asks for, Prakash. There is no Prakash, I believe, in this class. Huh? So, Prakash, where is the report, Prakash? Vishaka has filed her report. Where is your report? Sir, it is on the way, sir. It is coming, sir. It is on the way, sir. Okay, so this Prakash fellow is not ready with his report, whereas Vishaka has already filed the report before the deadline. You see, so now you know that how this fellow is surviving in your organization, how he is managing the impression, and so you know how much discount to add to Prakash's words. Okay.
Yes.
So if a newcomer comes in, Vishakha will immediately tell, ये प्रकाश के झांसे में मत आना, ये तो ऐसे ही फेंकता रहता है, बहुत काम करता है, बोल के कुछ नहीं करेगा, तुम्हारे सर पे आएगा, पहले से काम करके रख ले. और हर एक चीज का डायरी मेंटेन करता रहे, क्योंकि what you have done on what date, please maintain an Excel sheet so that you can tell boss as to what has happened, and progress report you can share. You see, so that you are doing anyway, Vishakha, and everyone in the class, you are already doing it. You know how your colleagues are, and you are estimating accordingly. So what I want you to do is please have the same opinion about your competitors' firms. Meaning, there are very, very good competitors who are working in the market with integrity. So what they say, what they do, and what results, you know that this particular organization is very, very correct. So if they are telling that this is our estimate, we are reaching 10% market share, rest assured they are reaching 10% market share. But whereas there is another organization which is always deceptive, which says that, oh, we are targeting for 40%. अरे यार, तुम्हारा ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में कैपेबिलिटी नहीं है, डिपार्टमेंट ही नहीं है, आई नो ऑल दैट, सो हाउ आर यू गोइंग टू कैप्चर 40%? तो कुछ नहीं होने वाला है. So don't fear that this organization is going to capture 40%. That's never going to happen. You see? So in that sense, one, you are taking very sane data, very nicely collected data from the government sources and the private consultancy sources. And then you are making estimates. And then you're also estimating the competition, and you're trying to figure out how are these competitors trying to work out, because sometimes they even want to manipulate others. That's the reason why they're making certain statements. Okay, they want you to waste your money on marketing campaign so that they can what you call save a lot of money, and they know that they'll only reach 10%. Okay, but they have forced you to invest more money because they were saying that they are trying to reach some 40%, 50% this year. Okay, so I think some of those clues from the market or some of the clues from the competition, I think you need to tune into, which is the reason why I said, please snoop around a little bit and try to keep your eyes and ears open, drop in on people's conversations and all. Thereby you get to understand how people function and what people say. Okay, so that way, I think if you make those small adjustments, you know for sure that there is that little bit of accuracy that you're bringing in. But it does not fully counter for this element, that is, okay, there will be slight variations. Okay, but then what will you do? You say that, okay, if this year I have estimated that we will reach 10%, we were only able to reach 6%. Okay, so what went right, what went wrong? Thereby, you are adjusting yourself next time when your boss is asking for market figures. You will say, sir, we'll capture 12, and you will be reaching at least up to 10, because earlier you failed And that's the reason why you made an assessment of what to do this time. And based on that, you were kind of, improving your skills or improving the way you market your products and all. And thereby this time you're able to reach, at least cover that margin. Only 2% difference is there. Okay, so slowly you will have to close that gap. That okay, if you are doing it, if you are preparing the numbers, you should work in such a way that you are able to reach to that number. Next time when you say 15, you are reaching to 14. Next time when you say you are to go to 18, you will get to 18. Okay, so in that way, slowly and steadily with practice, you will have to understand. Otherwise, everybody is there to manipulate you and they'll only give you deceptive numbers. And don't trust all the numbers all the time. Have your own judgment also as to how much discount factor you need to add. And based on that, how do you save money for your organization? Yet you are launching an effective campaign and selling your products. That is how you will have to think about. I hope I have confused you less and what clarified you more, not the other way
Yes,
around.
yes, sir. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
But if you say you encounter some issue and then say you want to discuss that specific thing, then you can write an email and then we can discuss that particular thing as well. Okay?
Sure, sure.
And
Thank
Pawan, you raised your hand. Pawan, what was the question?
Yes, sir. So when we are talking about marketing a campaign, so it is always associated with the cost. So that, okay. So how do we assess that this would be the market, spend which we can associate and we can earn this? So how these are planned?
How much money do we spend and how do we get those many customers?
Yes.
Okay, so I think in there, specifically you need to look at, let us say, till now, what has been your performance? Okay, you've always, 1%, 1%, 1% is what you are increasing.
Because marketing budgets will be associated with the segment
sales
of
and the segment
of the product.
Yes,
so,
yes.
So according to the budget, we have to plan and try to sell those numbers of unit. So the campaign design will change.
So that's what I'm saying. Now, when you say you have a market in which there are 3 segments in which your products can sell, you are only manufacturing products for 3 segments, let us say.
Yeah.
Now you have your past figures as to, okay, this has been the volume that we have been selling, and this is how we are progressing. Year on year, we are progressing 2% in each segment or 3% in each segment. Or in one particular segment, which is very, very attractive and easy for us, we are growing at 6%, let us say, every year. Okay. So what you are trying to see is then there is a judgment call. Okay. If you think that the 6% one is an easy task because people are very much, fans, for that particular product from that particular segment. So you will have to say, okay, out of 1 lakh rupees that I have as a marketing budget, I would like to give only 20,000 rupees for this segment and invest money because they are anyway enamored with my product. So all that I need to do is just reinforce that feeling and reinforce that relationship. It's only reinforcement that they require. Okay. They're already convinced that your product is great. So you are allocating 20,000 rupees to them. Then there is this other market which is growing at, let us say, the 3% which we said. So in there, what you will see is, again, as Vishakha asked, you have made some estimates and you realized that the people's incomes in this particular segment have risen, okay, from last year. Now, maybe you can say the government has given them more benefits, or the government has given them some tax rebates, or if it is a woman's product, every year Nirmala Sitaraman gives them some socks or something so as to get that vote or something. So you know that if this is the segment which is whose income is increasing, and you are only capturing increasing by 3%, you say, I think there is a lot more potential for this market or this particular segment this year. And so I would like to give 50,000 rupees for marketing this product because the people's income has increased, but their awareness and their preference for our product in that particular segment has not increased. Okay. The stable numbers are there. So what do? We have to convince, we have to reach out to more people, and we have to convince more people to purchase our product. That's the reason why wherever this segment is going, whether it is in digital or non-digital platforms, we are interested in presenting our value proposition to them and convince that we are the best. That's why you are allocating the maximum budget to these fellows. Okay, 50,000 rupees. Then there is the third segment which is growing at 2%, and it will be like that only. But the thing is, in this segment, the speciality is that the consumers are getting added. It is some 18-year-old fellow who is becoming 20, and so he is joining your segment. Okay, because your product is selling to 20 to 23 kind of audience, let us say. So these new fellows are coming in, and they haven't experienced the market. So just awareness is not going to be enough. I think some door to door or some sort of what you call a public campaign sort of a thing, or a marathon sort of a thing needs to be done for these fellows who are newly joined. Okay, they're not going to spend too much money with you. They don't have also. So what you're doing, you're trying to kind of allocate 30,000 rupees, because there is potential to increase, but that is smaller. And because these people aren't aware and they need a little bit of push from your side, you're giving them more money. Okay. And that is how you are able to convince the new person who has come into the market, and you are trying to kind of, get them on board, catch them young, because from this, he will move to the next segment, which is growing. And to that, he will become the loyal customer of your organization, and thereby, you're kind of selling the products to all these fellows. That's how you will have to make it. And
So I can
at the end
understand,
of the day,
like any successful marketing campaign can be associated with the result it has delivered, or
yes,
the
the
number of
previous result that it has delivered, and thereby we are constantly assessing, do we have what it takes to convince the customer? Okay, we did convince a lot of customers. We have generated good amount of buzz in the market, and that buzz in the market has also got transformed into the sales for our organization. Okay, so let's then do more of this, and encourage more creative ideas next year. But let us say we have invested this 50,000 rupees, and the advertisements were not that effective. Okay. Now, if that is the case, I think it is better that you don't trust your colleagues, and you kind of take the help of an outside consultant who can design a good campaign for you or an advertisement for you to convince these customers whose incomes are increasing and they're willing to spend. But what they want is a meaningful conversation with the organization. So if you're unable to do it yourself, then you will find out who will do this best for me, and then you will have to reach out to that person. So some of these elements you will have to worry about and make a constant adjustment. But after some point in time, once you practice this, and after some point in time, you will know what it is. Like, I know all of you are asking so many questions so as to avoid the case Apple discussion.
Oh no, no, Professor.
This is how my students mislead me. But then at the back of the mind, I also have this thing. इतना doubt पूछ रहा है तो मतलब case discussion करने का नहीं है. My advertising and branding students are notorious in this. They start somehow. I am discussing about what you call an industrial product, and then advertising for that. Those smarties will come and tell me, sir, I think somehow they will relate that industry to Patanjali and Patanjali Ramdev, and then they will start getting me into that loop. I said once or twice I'll fall for you, but not all the time. And then, we all had a great laugh. So then they
This
said,
was my genuine, Professor. I wanted to discuss the Apple case also.
No. I will make you discuss that Apple case. Never mind. After answering what Riddhi has to ask, the question that Riddhi has to ask, we will get into that discussion. No. But just this is the estimate I am making. You see, why am I telling you this? This is how I am understanding my students, and this is how I am trying to adjust myself according to them. You see. Because otherwise, you will not be an effective communicator, and you will have to adjust. And one big problem, because you are all executives, there is no issue, So, but otherwise, in the PGP class, what happens is they're always 21 to 23 only. But when I joined, I was 33 or 32, and now I'm 43, you see. So my student is, like 21 and I'm 42, double his age. And, once I finish the next decade, I think he's like, my child, my child's age he is. And, and so that generational gap, multiple generational gap will come in between. So one has to understand how to deal with the youngsters and, figure out how to teach the class. It is just for that. So I am constantly estimating as to how this class has been delivered and what can be done next time to ensure that we are completing the content. At the same time, we are having a lot of discussion in the class, you see. So that is how it is. Yeah, Riddhi, what was the question?
I think I was just adding it to what Pawan said from the spends point to not a specific, but from a spends point, I think I come from a retail and now B2B industrial sector. We have of the total our turnover, we are about 5% of the spends which we allocate to the marketing spends. Now, those 5% of the spends, I mean, that's an industry standard, and that definitely gets bifurcated to the campaigns, research, communication, on-ground activations. All of that is obviously then you kind of further bifurcate to the need of the business.
Yes.
But as a standard benchmark, it's the 5%. Now that 5% is divided between online, offline communication, research, BTL, etc., is something that we do it as for the business. I think that's all that I wanted to add.
Okay, great. So in that sense, I think again, going back to Vishakha, I think Vishakha, you have to take the point that Riddhi has given, in the sense once that this is the benchmark. If Riddhi is your boss, then only 5% budget has been allocated. But you come up with a great plan saying that, ma'am, I've estimated so much and I want so much more money, and it is getting into 7%. She will say, thank you, Vishakha. I really appreciate your ideas, but let's try to wrap it up with 5%. But if you're able to show me that there is high potential that is existing in this, and because of that, it requires, additional investment. If you want me to push this from 5 to 7, can you please show me the results at least in 1 quarter, wherein I want you to be creative in your advertisements or in your sales approach, and show me that with a limited budget, you are able to convince more customers and get them on board. Okay. Once you're able to do that for 1 quarter, Riddhi will be confident that, she will be able to request others to let go of their budget, and she will be able to pull that money out from, let us say, online marketing, and she will give that money to you. But she also knows that, if she goes on, taking away money from everybody else, they will all become Vishakha's enemies. So she is trying to see that in this financial year, if whatever Vishakha has pointed out is turning out to be truth or not. Okay, so if you are able to prove that, okay, whatever estimates, your understanding of the market is true and the budgets need to be improved, next financial year, you will have no trouble. The budget will increase from 5% to 7%. Because you have contributed quantum jump in the sales, and at the end of the day, you have contributed to quantum jump in the profits. Okay, so that's how, and it is not decided by a single person. I think, multiple people are involved in deciding these things. So we need to take them on board and, work with them, and whatever ideas we have, if we brainstorm and, decide it, I think that's when we get to some sane understanding of this one. Like, say, it is not, what are the way in which I am interacting with you or I'm delivering subjects for the last 11 years. It's not only my own studies and my own understanding. It is an understanding given by my professors who taught me during my FPM program. It is the mentoring that was done by my thesis advisory committee, and specifically my thesis advisory committee chair, who groomed me to become a very good teacher. And subsequently, after joining here, it is the other faculty, my seniors, colleagues, and all, from whom I have learned certain tricks of the trade. And then Also, subsequently, when I went to the class and I interacted with students, they gave me certain feedbacks and they said, sir, this is how you need to, this is how we are comfortable. And over a period of time, I read through all of that and kind of, solidified my way of teaching. You see? And yeah, it took a pandemic for me to change some of the rigid rules that I have. But yes, I did change. Post pandemic and pre pandemic, there is a lot of change that has occurred. So that is what you also, as managers, have to learn, that you are looking for information from all the places, not just that, but you're also learning from all other managers as to how they are taking decisions, how they are estimating, and can we use some calculations, but at the same time, we have to develop that intuition, you know, and thereby, I'm remembered of a female intuition by Madame Oliver in Agatha Christie's novels, my favorite character, Madame Oliver. She says always there is female intuition and she is able to solve the problem, but she always gets the wrong guy to be the criminal. But, that's just for the fun part of it. So in the sense, I think developing that intuition is what is necessary, though again with a little bit of logic. I think without that logic, if you simply say that, oh, my intuition says that I'll be Harvard dean next year, yeah, your intuition can say anything, but are you anywhere close to the Harvard? No, you're not. You're 5 continents away from Harvard. So that's the reality part of it, so that is how we need to look into. So now let us try to ask this question: how are we, how we got, addicted to, or let us say, or how we got introduced to and got convinced for the usage of a smartphone. What has happened? I'm pretty sure from the first smartphone that has been released to the latest smartphone, I think, some of you or most of you might have used all of them. Okay. So, or if you say you have a different this thing, so how did that happen to you? Why did you even get on with the smartphone? What made you choose a smartphone? What made you choose a smartphone? Arpita.
Sir, it solves lots of purpose, like work, especially for my work thing. Smartphone helps a lot. I'm not an iPhone freak person, but yes, I would agree with that. That now phone is something is equivalent to a laptop, mini laptop. You can say we can do lots of work through our phone itself, especially if we are in such a condition there where we cannot carry our laptops or such kind of device. So of course, for me, phone is for communication and for my work purpose as well. And then it later part comes for obviously the camera and sometimes the entertainment part as well. So it's all in one stop solution for multiple things.
Alokji, what was it that you have written there?
The network is getting disconnected again and again. Actually, can we just connect it with LAN as earlier?
Net is disconnected.
Network is getting disconnected. Earlier, actually, I did not highlight it just because of thing that I was just checking that maybe my network is getting some issue, but it's continuously getting disconnect.
No, no, I think from my side, I think there is no message also that is coming where, your network is not working at all.
Okay. I think it's working.
there is no disconnect as of now.
Alokji, it's Israel War, my dear.
Yeah, I think Alokji, you will have to check your internet connection, because generally what happens is, yeah, like last time I have experienced, like last time we had that issue, wherein I generally, if there is a disturbance, I get that your internet connection is disrupted करके एक message आ जाता है मेरे desktop पे. तो वैसा तो कुछ आया नहीं अभी तक तो, in all the 30 minutes or whatever.
Working fine. It's working fine.
It's working fine. Working fine for me.
Okay.
So you
Okay,
continue.
no issue. I'll
I
check my
think,
connection again. No
yeah,
issue.
here
Please
no
continue.
problem is there. You can continue, sir.
Okay, but if this is I don't know generally, and this last time that was a Dabba laptop. So I also had issues with that, but this is my HP notebook, this one only. So
No, it's
it
really fine,
shouldn't
sir.
be
No
a
issue, sir.
problem
Please
in that
continue.
sense.
Yes,
So
sir.
And
no
I
Carry on.
don't
problem
know
right
how to.
now. It's working
Yeah, I
fine.
think
Okay.
what I will do from next to this thing, no, for your this one. I'll also make that other arrangement in terms of, I don't know, for this laptop, I don't even know how to connect to the LAN. इसका LAN connection किधर है वो भी मुझे पता नहीं. So
नहीं,
I'll have to
carry
figure
on,
that
sir.
out.
Laptop
Okay, but
is
please excuse me this time. Next time onwards, I will have both of them done. So that there is no disturbance. There is no disturbance. Oh, इसको भी बताना पड़ेगा. So in that sense, when you say it is now become a part of our, or part of our this one, part of our what you call life, that you cannot do a lot of things without that particular instrument. But when you say at the beginning of it, and as Arpita pointed out, that this is almost helping her to use it as a laptop when she cannot carry a laptop to a particular place. She is definitely able to use this mobile phone as a laptop. So when you say it has come a long way to this, but the initial point for all of this is the what you call the development of internet, isn't it? The first point for an inception of idea to create a smartphone is the availability of internet, or at least the starting of internet era. So when you say your IBM launched that cordless phone or first smartphone, and then everybody started looking at it, and AT&T worked on it, and most organizations worked on it. But the whole scenario was that is in the context, there were certain changes that were happening. That is, landline was being what you call seen as only one of the options to communicate, and people were interested in looking at, is it possible for me to help these people with carrying this phone everywhere? Okay. So in that sense, I think your IBM's first cordless phone is the first one which has detached itself from that LAN connection or that telephone connection, wherein you have to be grounded, wired, and all. That was the first phone that they've invented. After that, people understood the technology and people started working on it. Very few customers purchased that phone because it was damn expensive. But then marketers got a clue that it is quite possible for us to detach these wires and then make it easy for the consumer to carry this phone, though that phone was weighing around 2 kilos or something, but still people were interested in at least introducing that. Now with that, you are getting an idea that the connection can be disassociated, but still the person can be communicating with others. So then they started working on this new product development, and slowly you will see, with the more penetration of your internet, they are able to increase the or decrease the size and weight and other things, and they're able to bring in first of all the feature phone, and second, once the size is reduced and the feature phone has been introduced, then they said, okay, now that we are able to what you call disassociate the land connection and the person who is moving around, let us try to increase the communication better. So you are able to successfully launch the feature phones and do that, and that was a particular era. But then the customers constantly gave you the feedback that can you please improve my communication? You see, so when you are conducting that market research, the answer given by the customer is always, can you please increase my or improve my communication? First, it was letters by postal. Then they said improve it. Then you brought in telegraph. Then they said, can you please improve it further? Then you brought telephones. Then they said, can you please improve it further and make it much more personal? You brought the feature phones. They still said that I do want it to be more personal and more freedom to be given to me. And can you do something? Then they brought in the smartphone. So from the consumer side, the only request that you are collecting in the market research is, can you please increase my, what you call convenience? Can you please increase my communication, and can you please help me to communicate better? Okay, because some of these things are not possible for the consumer to tell you. They will give you those vague ideas only. Okay, but it is the market research team coupled with the research and development team, they will be able to ideate, and that's where this particular thing comes into picture. So, whatever that we discussed about understanding the potential, understanding the available, understanding the target market and all will be done in the background, collecting information, sitting with the participants, and then sitting with your R&D team and stuff like that. I think that is what has happened, in the iPhone, in your Apple organization also, wherein they were working towards improving the convenience for customers. That is the only motive that they have. We want to improve the convenience for customers. We want to improve the communication for customers. You see, so once that has been done, you have got your first phone. Okay. And then let us listen to others as to how they got convinced of purchasing the, smartphone. What is your story? Any others? Why have you purchased the smartphone, and how have you benefited out of it? How have you learned to use smartphone? That back of the mind issue is what I want to highlight. How have you learned to use the phone? What sort of difficulties did you come across, and how did you overcome those difficulties? Your first smartphone experience. Astha.
I think for me it was network effects that came into play. I had FOMO because all the other friends, when I owned my first smartphone, I was in school, so all the other friends were having it. So yeah, network effects played for me well. That's how I purchased my first phone.
Because of others, you've been influenced, and then you purchased the product. Yeah. And then what sort of difficulties or what sort of advantages did you find with the smartphone? How did you get, how did you familiarize yourself with the smartphone?
It was pretty easy. I mean, smartphones were pretty easy. So, learned by trial and error in using it. That's about it.
Okay. So you did it by trial and error.
Yeah.
And because you are pretty young, and you have got it at a very young age, and so there was always the possibility that you can reach out to your friends. Each one of you is exploring and then sharing that information. So it's not just you, but there are 5 others in the class who are working on it, and then all of you during your lunch break sharing this insights. And
interesting insights, yeah.
And then you are able to learn more tricks of the trade and say, okay, this is how I have to use all these features. This is how I have to use all these, apps. And the learning curve becomes much faster in that sense, isn't it?
Yep, true.
Okay, Samir, how did you learn?
Professor, initially before smartphone came, I was using the other phone. The major issue I faced was memory. I was not able to store more than 200, 300 contact details. Even the app, the processor was very slow. And the moment I shifted from that phone to smartphone, my life became much more easier because the storage capacity was higher than the earlier one. Second, I was able to communicate with my multiple people, group together. First is official purpose. It helped me to connect my official ID to my phone. So on the go, whenever I was traveling, it was pretty easy for me to get in use my check my email and respond whatever important task was there. So because of that reason, I shifted from non-smartphone to the smartphone one.
So in case of Sameer, for Astha, it is like, attraction, and everybody in her group were using it. So she got on with it, and then she just familiarized herself with that particular thing. Not for any official purpose or for, doing a job, but she is familiarizing herself because she is part of that culture wherein you have to have that phone, and you at least need to have that knowledge as to how to use phone, whether you have it on your own or it is being used by your parents and you are sometimes intermittently using it, doesn't matter. But she should know, as her, in her generation, she should know that this is the phone, and how does it function and all that. She cannot be illiterate in the smartphone usage part. So that's where she comes in. But in comparison, Samir, when you look at the pain point for him, the pain point for Asta was being in the network. The pain point for Samir is that his existing instrument isn't enough to help him communicate better with the clients of his organization, and communicate with his colleagues in a much better fashion, and also communication on the go, because it is not possible that in the sales or marketing you're always sitting at the desk and you are trying to do things. So when you ask Samir, he will only tell what are the limitations that his existing phone are providing and what sort of problems he's encountering. Okay. So when we are doing this market research, what we need to do is they have to listen carefully to what Samir has to say and what are all the limitations that his phone is putting him through, and how can we reduce that pain point for him or altogether remove that pain point for him should be the task. Okay, so that is what your iPhone was also trying to do, and it was trying to improve the communication and say connecting that with the internet and image transfers and then subsequently video transfers. It was trying to provide more convenience to people, and it was trying to kind of give them more comfort, better quality of life. Again, we'll come back to the points that were raised by Astha, but before that, I want to. There was somebody else, no? Amit, you raised your hand, but you.
Right, sir, right. I did
Yeah.
raise, sir, to be true, there are 2 points which I wanted to highlight. One is, of course, going back to the Apple case, which I've gone through. Even everything started with the simplicity and the crux of the case, which, as per Steve Jobs says, why to have different department under different PNL? Let's get them together and let's sit in a room. And why to develop 4 products? Let's say one iTunes for music, one iPod for playing games, and one for communication, let's say an iPhone. And what he did, he combined everything together, right? And even that was my first case when I did my MBA, which I presented the blue ocean strategy, which Apple has actually developed. Rather than you create marketing campaign or you design something as a product, so you actually develop a product wherein you don't need to market. People will come and buy because they were actually addressing the challenges and the pain points. So that was the crux of that case. Coming back to my personal story, I'll tell you, I went to Norway. That was way back in 2000, and I have a bad habit of collecting, let's say, newspaper article or anything, any good quote, anything which I can put as a bookmark. And that was a challenge, because after a period of time I had a lot of files with all those newspaper articles and magazine and editorial pages, and I was struggling. And the moment I got an iPhone with the camera, so I've started clicking pictures. So that was one. But when I went abroad, in way back in, I think that was 99, I was not able to see the family member. I was not able to communicate. It was only the phone, just the voice call. But way back, let's say in 2008 9, I had a smartphone, and then I was able to see my mom and I was able to communicate. So that was one of the best transition point, which I would say, in terms of the communication, whether it's a edge, 4G, 5G, whatever you call it. But these were the two important parameter which I always consider, which is important. And of course, people have said it is nothing but smartphone is nothing but a laptop, so you can do everything using a phone.
So, as Amit pointed out, when Steve Jobs said, why do we do all these things separately? Why can't we combine them? Please understand, first of all, the organization figured out a small music, playing instrument, not your Sony Walkman. Sony Walkman was a roaring success and people were running with cassettes. But that was really problematic because you could only listen to, let us say, 2 film songs or 2 albums on both sides of the cassette, and there ends the matter. Wherein here they were giving you, I think 512 MB was the first, this iPhone, this thing my brother gifted to me when I was in FPM. But that was such a nice thing to have around, only some 20, 30, 40 songs were there, but still I was happy because it is not a Walkman, it is very small and, it is easy to carry and all that. So in each of those elements, they've brought it down. The laptop was reduced to a tab, or a desktop was reduced to a tab. A big Sony Walkman was reduced to a small this thing. And then they were creating this MacBook and all. Because you put in so much hard work in simplifying those big instruments into smaller ones, they were able to then say, okay, now that we have reached level 5 with all these individual things, let's put them all together and integrate the life of the customer. I think simplicity and integrating the life of the customer with all these elements, I think that is the best thing that this Apple has done. Again, but I want to elaborate on one point that Amit mentioned. That is, if you have a very good product, people will buy that. Okay, but not always, Amit. Why? Because Theodore Levitt, in his article called Marketing Myopia, says your product may be really good, a life transforming product it may be, but people will not be interested in buying it unless you market the product to them, unless you train them how to use the product. So in that, you will have to really appreciate the work that was done by Apple, that initially they have created studios wherein they have invited the first set of customers who purchased their Apple phones to come in groups and discuss the things that they have done with the phone, just like Astha pointed out, that as a group, when you come together, when you are experimenting, exploring, and then sharing all those ideas with others, they're not only helping people to best utilize the product that was purchased by them, but they are also helping the organization which is observing these individuals' discussions and moderating those discussions to have newer ideas as to what all needs to be done to connect all those elements. Okay, so in that sense, your Apple needs to be given the credit that it was very much in touch with the consumers. It is like Samir telling his pain points, and then they have produced a product for him. And then when Samir and Asta are trying to make use of that product, and Amit comes in, he says, "Hey, if you are stuck with this, please use it this way." Okay, so he transformed the life of Samir and Asta, and he is able to create that bond. Now, these 3 people became a cult, and they started enrolling everybody from this class and say, let us all purchase Apple iPhones. And that's how they were able to convince all others to purchase it, because they themselves went as customers and marketed the product. And one last thing I want to say before signing off is that your Steve Jobs is a very good storyteller. He's a very good storyteller in the sense of hyping up exciting your emotions and then putting you down and then exciting you and then putting you down. And overall, the story that he tells is like that Bahubali story that you have watched, or your RRR story that you have watched, you see. And that's what he did. So that is where he overcame the difficulty that was pointed out by Theodore Levitt. That is, you may be producing a wonderful product, but please be careful that you have to sell it, you have to market it, and you have to train the consumers so that they use it in the best possible manner and come back to help you to sell those products. Okay, so we will leave it here. Any last points, please, Sanyogita?
No, like I was also going to, tell you why I switched to a smartphone. I my brother had gifted me a BlackBerry around 2008 or 9 or 10. I don't remember exactly. And it was not a touch screen phone, first of all. And I had to type. The buttons were really nice, very easy to type text messages and all. But BlackBerry had certain restrictions, like I could not download WhatsApp, or I could not connect with my friends on WhatsApp. I couldn't use those apps. There was PIN and BlackBerry to BlackBerry communication was there. So in order to communicate with other friends and other people I know who are using WhatsApp, I switched on to a Note, Samsung, which was a touch screen that time.
Kind of similar story like that of Asta, wherein you cannot be left out in the group. You have to join the group, so you have to join Samir, Amit, and Asta. There is no way to escape.
So this is like social media strategy, network effects. This is how it spirals, and you get a lot of people at once. Also, I also wanted to.
Yes, please go ahead.
I also wanted to add about the marketing campaign that Steve Jobs used for iPod. 1,000 songs in your pocket. That's it.
Yes.
So that was amazing.
Yes. So when you say, first of all, it is a complex product. Please try to understand, because nobody ever perceived it this way. Nobody ever conceptualized the product this way. And even though, it is, it is a simple design and it is a simple product, please let me tell you, it is the simple things in the world which are very, very complex to understand. Isn't it? Chup raho, quiet रहो तो मन quiet रहेगा and आपको बहुत अच्छा काम करने का मौका मिलेगा. That is what they say, no? Very easy thing to do. अपने माइंड को क्वाइट रखिए, अपने जुबान को क्वाइट रखिए और सुनिए. Every year during Vinayak Chavati they tell you all this, but how many of us practice? I never practice it.
Right.
I use more of my mouth because I'm a professor, and use less of my ears because we are professors, we can get away with anything. You see, so even the simplest of things are very difficult to explain to people, because they say, "Arey, isme kya hai?" I know. And you say this ignorance of I know is the difficult thing to deal with, and that's where Apple has trained the whole society. It has trained a generation of initial customers who then went on like evangelists and trained everybody else. Now, your maid also uses smartphone, your maid also uses WhatsApp. She may be typing it in the local language and sending a message to you that she cannot come today because of a medical this thing or something. Or she will send you an audio message, ki, ma'am, ya sir, main aaj nahi aa sakti. You see, if she cannot type, she will record her voice and sending it to you. So, such complex technology, even being used by a lady who couldn't educate herself, but she wants to communicate with the world, we were able to do it. So, it is the first set of individuals, it's the networks which have really worked in terms of helping this product to sell. Okay, so I think that's where we will stop. Thank you so much for completing this, and then we come back next time and discuss few more details as to how this Apple has worked on the market research or understanding the demand and then perpetuating the demand for its products. And still it is continuing to do so. So how is it able to do? I think please, even if you watch first post Palki Sharma Upadhyay's, analysis, I think you will be able to participate with more analysis in the next class. Okay, and I think our office said you are being taught 2 marketing courses simultaneously. So we are going to reduce the sessions. We're not going to take 2 sessions. I told them 1 session at a time, and they will adjust that accordingly. And then, first Sabita ma'am's courses will get over, and I will teach you slowly, not 2 sessions at a time. That is how the understanding was between me and the office people. They will change the schedule and share it with you so that we are not overwhelming you with so much of marketing. Okay? Thank you so much, everyone. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.